Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that, well, cuts through the noise to get you straight to the essential insights. Today, we're taking a really fascinating plunge, I think, into a unique global opportunity, navigating the FIFA Volunteer application process. So our mission for this deep dive, it's basically to pull out all the crucial insights, all the practical knowledge you're going to need. We want you to be truly well-informed about, becoming a FIFA volunteer.
Exactly. And we're going to make sure you walk away with real concrete information. We'll specifically drill down into who's actually eligible, what kind of tangible benefits volunteers might receive, and crucially, how that entire application process unfolds, step by step. Think of this as your go-to guide for getting involved.
Okay, great. Let's unpack this then. Volunteering for an event like the FIFA World Cup, I mean, it isn't just showing up, is it? It's about being part of something, well, immense. When you think about the sheer scale, the global impact, it really highlights how specific and structured this volunteering opportunity must be. You're not just offering time. You're effectively joining a huge international team.
Yeah, that's right. Our sources really emphasize that being part of the FIFA Volunteer Program means stepping into a role with very distinct requirements and benefits too. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's tailored for this massive global spectacle. And that specificity, well, that's why understanding the details is so vital right from the start. So let's tackle that first hurdle, which is often the most critical for anyone thinking about applying: understanding the eligibility criteria. Our sources point to several key things here. First, applicants generally need to be at least 18, usually 18 by the start of the tournament. Second, a valid passport. That's essential, obviously, especially for international events. Third, and this is a big one, you really need to be available for the full duration. That can mean several weeks, not just, a couple of days. And finally, there's usually a language requirement, typically fluency in English and maybe, depending on the host, proficiency in the local language too.
Okay, that's incredibly practical stuff right off the bat. But why is it so important for you listening to really grasp these specific requirements right at the beginning? I mean, beyond the obvious fact that you need to meet them, what are the sort of less apparent reasons why this initial check really matters?
Well, it's mainly about being strategic. Strategic with your time, your effort. Knowing these criteria up front stops you from, investing hours into an application if you fundamentally don't meet one of the core requirements. It saves disappointment later. Plus, our sources point out that some things like the criminal record check, which is pretty much universal for these roles, can take quite a while to process. So being prepared means understanding the full scope, including things like commitment to mandatory training sessions. These often have quite inflexible schedules.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. This is where it gets really interesting for a lot of people, I suspect. Beyond just the incredible experience, being at a World Cup, what are the specific tangible incentives, the unique advantages offered to volunteers? Are we talking about more than just a thank you note and maybe a pat on the back?
Oh, absolutely. Much more. Our sources indicate the FIFA program offers some pretty substantial benefits, actually. These aren't just informal thank yous. Firstly, accommodation or maybe a living stipend is often provided, especially for volunteers who aren't local. That's huge practical support right there. Secondly, volunteers get the official FIFA uniforms. They get daily meals during their shifts too, and comprehensive public transport passes usually. What's particularly cool, I think, is the event accreditation. This gives you unique access, to areas the general public would never get near. And finally, yes, there's a certificate of participation. That can actually be a great addition to your resume or CV.
Wow, okay, so the perks aren't just, like you said, a t-shirt and handshake. There's genuine logistical support, accommodation, transport. That feels far more substantial than I might have guessed. It really makes it seem more accessible for a wider range of people. But on the flip side, what about the potential downsides? Or maybe challenges that volunteers might face? Do the sources hint at that? Long hours, high-pressure situations?
That's a really good question to ask. Because yes, while the perks are generous, our sources do acknowledge it's a demanding role, no doubt about it. Volunteers should definitely be prepared for long shifts, sometimes irregular hours too. And it's the fast-paced, high-pressure environment you'd expect at a major global event. Flexibility is absolutely key. Roles can change, schedules might shift. Look, it's an incredibly rewarding experience, people say, but it definitely requires a strong commitment and a really proactive attitude. Okay, moving on to the practical steps then. Let's try and guide you through the actual application journey itself. Our sources outline a multi-stage process here for becoming a FIFA volunteer. It kicks off with an online registration. This is typically a pretty comprehensive form. Asks about your skills, your availability, any previous experience you might have. After that, selected candidates usually move on to an interview phase. These might be in person, maybe virtual nowadays. They're really designed to assess things like your communication skills, problem solving, and importantly, your commitment level.
Okay, so you get through the online hurdle, you do the interview. What happens next? What are the final key stages you should expect? What's that overall pathway look like, right up to actually getting involved on the ground?
Right. If we link this to the bigger picture, getting everything ready, the final stages are really crucial for preparedness. So, post-interview, there's usually that background check we mentioned earlier. It's mandatory, mainly for security reasons. Then comes the mandatory training period. And this isn't just a formality, like ticking a box. It covers everything from specific venue layouts, emergency protocols, customer service standards, team dynamics, the lot. Our sources really emphasize that successfully completing this training is absolutely non-negotiable for involvement. It ensures every single volunteer is properly equipped for their role. It's a thorough process, yeah, but it ensures everyone's ready for that global stage.
Okay, so just to quickly recap for you listening, we've covered the essential knowledge you really need to jump into this pretty unique opportunity. We've talked about those specific eligibility requirements being 18, valid passport, that crucial availability. We dove into the rather attractive volunteer perks, didn't we? From accommodation and uniforms right through to that unique accreditation. And finally, we just walked through the clear pathway of the application itself, from the online form to interviews and that vital mandatory training.
Yeah, and all of this, it really brings up an important, maybe deeper question for you to consider. Beyond the practicalities of applying, beyond the direct benefits like access and perks, what's the deeper, maybe often unstated value or perspective that you can truly gain? I mean, what perspective can you get from contributing to such a large-scale global event like FIFA as a volunteer? Think about the unparalleled cultural immersion, maybe, the network of international connections you could potentially build, and that unique sense of purpose, perhaps, that comes from helping make a truly unifying global spectacle happen. It really is an experience that can, I think, genuinely broaden your understanding of the world, something to mull over.